Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Cycle. It's me, your host, Joe. We are again have joined by Endless Grind and Beardy, who is continuing his. Well, we'll let Beardy describe what's going on with him today. But Beardy, would you like to take it away, buddy?
I just forgot to take my medication.
Touche, sir. Touche. All right. So, as you guys can tell by the title, today we are going to talk about orange pilling your family and the right ways to do it versus the wrong ways to do it. So, let's go ahead and get started, guys. How do you typically go about, introducing or bringing up Bitcoin to your family?
You can go first, Beardy.
Thank you, Grinder.
No problem.
Yeah, so I'm just excited for Nashville Bitcoin 2024. So I got my bolo tie and my cowboy hat, which I'll put right there. So this is pretty deep for me. I even have notes, which is for me is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Basically, I started trying to orange pill family a couple of years ago, pretty unsuccessfully. A couple of friends I was successful with. So I learned there's a lot of different avenues and ways we can go with that. My friend that I ended up orange pilling, I worked on him for like a year and it was not making any ground. And then I was thinking, he's an ex-military guy. So I'm like, maybe I should funnel him some of the Jason Lowry thesis stuff about, Bitcoin for national security. And then it was like maybe a day later, he's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
That one. But everybody's different. They're going to be coming from different angles. So
it's kind of funny how that works.
Lately, what I've been doing is just trying to, I don't think we can swear on this one, but Joe runs a tight ship, just explaining the current system, just how effed we are. So stealing from Jeff Booth, starting kind of from the square one. Technology's deflationary. What's that mean? Well, makes everything easier. You need less to do more, so there's, energy leak. We print more money. So we're basically consuming before we put in the work, which is kind of perversion of the natural order. But anyways, there's explain the 31 trillion in debt, going up to like 35 trillion in debt, and because people think, well, can we maybe pay an extra $20 a month and pay that 30? People don't understand how astronomical. If you were to visualize $1 trillion, there's websites where you can actually do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much it actually is, and then I'm like, okay, we take in GDP was what, 3-4 trillion. I'm not sure the exact numbers. You have to listen to one of the macro nerds. I'm like, okay, interest, as you're like, it's about to surpass the military budget. It's going to be like $1 trillion just in interest to service old debt. So yeah, basically, instead of they kind of kick the can down the road to the grandkids and everything, in this system, instead of planting the seeds and growing first. So in a deflationary world, everything we should be working less, but that's clearly we're all trapped because we get our raises and everything and say, oh, everything's good, we're getting raises, but our purchasing power is actually trending towards zero. Like in the 1950s, if you made $10,000 a year, maybe a house was $10,000, and now house $250,000, maybe you make $50,000 a year or whatever. But so then once you explain kind of how screwed up the system is, and there's literally no way out, then that's where I try to start talking about hard assets and enter Bitcoin, and it's some of its other angles just being the absolute scarcity. Some like it, the environmentalist angle with the energy, It's a bare asset. The only thing you can really own. Right-minded people, it's freedom money. The only thing you can actually own. And then Jason Meyer wrote the book Progressive Case for Bitcoin. Talk about the human rights angle if they're truly concerned about equality and all that. And Alex Gladstein does a lot of work with human rights stuff. But
yeah, people don't realize that there's a large, especially I guess Americans and Europeans don't realize that there's such a large population of the world that doesn't have access to banks.
Yep.
So
banking the unbanked, yep. That maybe half the world doesn't even have a bank account, or maybe they're getting gouged by Western Union paying $100 back home. Western Union takes 30%.
Right.
So there's just so many different angles that we could come from.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pass it over to Grinder.
Yeah, sure. You did a great job of covering a lot of different areas of that are really important. You're absolutely right. It's all about figuring out what angle is going to resonate with your audience. So I've found that I try to structure and organize the way that I orange pill people, but I typically have to pivot and like switch the order around depending on the type of person that it is. People who are more tech savvy, I'll go the tech angle. People who are more liberal, I'll kind of start out by fighting the FUD narratives to give them a different perspective than maybe what they were seeing in mainstream media. People who are worried about or want to understand like the technological implications, and a lot of the times the question that I get from people is, but what does it actually do? What does it do? So trying to explain what it does.
What do you do, Grinder?
Right. Yeah. So I think what would be kind of good is to share if I share my screen with you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Share screen. We want this one. Okay, you can see that.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. I want to share one other thing. Sorry. One second. There we go.
I do think you're right, though. You do have to kind of tailor your approach to the person you're talking to.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show this. This is just like a clipped picture from like my YouTube playlist or whatever. But I have like an orange pill playlist, and this is what I've actually been finding to be the most successful with people who like really don't know anything at all. The people who come to you and they're like, hey, you were in Bitcoin a long time ago, right? Like you understand what's going on. They've been talking about it a lot on the news. What is it? So people who have like no knowledge whatsoever, they've just heard about it in passing. They think it's like some gambling thing. They have no idea what Bitcoin actually does or how it works. This series that What Bitcoin Did with Peter McCormick put out recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, I've had a lot of success with this. I've probably gotten about 6 people orange pilled with this already. So I would recommend this. Yeah, I would recommend this series because of the fact that they group it into like short form question and answer. They have a prompt come up on the screen with the question, and then they answer it in like 30 seconds to like a couple of minutes. And it just covers like a lot of the basics, and they do a really good job with it. So if you can get people to sit down for, about an hour and 15 minutes, that's usually a good place to start. The other thing that I wanted to show you, I'll go back to that other screen. 1 second here. And we need...
Beardy, I'm going to get you a legit cowboy hat from Texas, buddy.
Dude, this is a George Strait.
All right, I sent over another shared screen to you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Yeah, so this is, once as people kind of get their foot in the door and they start asking me, like, they start saying, okay, I'm starting to get it. I want to learn more. These are the videos that I've kind of saved that I send them based on like the questions that they ask me. Obviously, it's going to be different on every person, but I think Jeff Booth does a good job of like explaining why it's so difficult to understand how to measure like the impact of Bitcoin from within. He always says like you can't measure a system from within the old system.
Yeah.
So I like his videos. If you want like the long version of Jeff Booth, you've got like the hour 20-minute podcast. If you want the short version, he basically says the same things, but he wraps it up a little bit better. When people are trying to like understand what like the Lightning Network is and like proof of work versus proof of stake, or how Bitcoin can be utilized to like bank the unbanked, I like to send them the Jack Mahler's interview, because Jack
Okay.
Mahler's is just so passionate about stuff. When I'm talking to people about like macroeconomics and the reason why like Bitcoin came into creation, and why it's going to be beneficial as we like move forward from like an economic standpoint, I send them Lynn Alden. This I just saved because I'm anticipating that people will say, hey, well, I heard the New York Times said that Bitcoin mining is bad for the environment and all this stuff. And so this podcast with Pierre Rochard, he does a really great job of like debunking that New York Times interview. Going back to like the macroeconomic side of things, James Lavish does a great job of explaining like the recessionary risks right now and how Bitcoin can help with that. Here's another Jeff Booth video.
I mean, Jeff Booth is one of the goats.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then a couple of different presentations by Jason Lowery if somebody's looking more on like the technical side, the defense side, because one of my cousins has always said that the biggest thing that holds him back from getting into Bitcoin is he believes that the government could just like end it at any point. Like the NSA could just like come in and hack it or change it, and like we're kind of ignorant to believe that they can't do that or whatever. And he, to be fair, he is a computer engineer and he has a background in computer science. So like he does understand cryptography and all that stuff. And he says that it's not as secure as we think it is. But Bitcoin's been around for 14 years and it's never been hacked. So I feel okay, but I find that the Jason Lowery interviews can be really helpful to like help people see it as that like national security defense area. And then last but not least, this one down here actually just came out last week, and it's a self-custody explanation video for like cold storage devices featuring the creator of Cold Card, which is Bitcoin only. But I just think that him and Natalie Burnell did a really great job of explaining like why you should cold storage your Bitcoin. And a lot of times when newbies are coming in, they don't really understand the importance of that. So I think that video is a good summary. So those are the videos, the long and short of it, I guess, of what I try to use to orange pill people depending on where they're coming from.
Nice. Yeah, I actually I like a lot of that. I think that we've talked about, you really need to get everything set up before you talk to someone about it and figure out like how they can understand it better, right? Because how I learn is not going to be the same as how you learn, which is not going to be the same as the way that Beardy learns. We all kind of come to this in our own way, right? And I think that's kind of one of the cool things about Bitcoin is you have, in crypto in general, I guess, you have so many people who kind of make their way into it in their own ways, and they all have their way of thinking about it, and the community can really talk to each other and explain. Like we're having this conversation now, right? Like I may use some of these videos that you're showing, Grind. I may use these in the future. To send to my friends and family, like, hey, I couldn't explain it to you the right way, but watch this video. It kind of explains what I was trying to get to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's like
So-
literally what I say sometimes. I'm like, look, I understand it and like I can talk about it, but I might stumble over my words. I was like, these guys and gals, they know how to explain it much more articulately than I can. So,
yeah,
if you use your relationship with the person to like have that trust and have that communication to kind of like break the seal, but then pass them over to the individuals who can like thoroughly explain it so they don't get confused or lost or like have some visual to go along with it,
yeah, definitely. So I think, let me pull up, share my screen real quick. If you don't mind sending me those.
Actually, before you do that, Joe, I
Yeah,
just wanted to I just thought it would be cool if maybe we watch this video real
oh
quick.
yeah, definitely.
Because Beardy, you brought up how it's really hard for people to visualize the amount of money. So this isn't how much money the U.S. is currently in debt, but this is a visual representation of the stimulus from 2020. So if we just want to watch it quick, I think
Yeah,
it does kind of help.
So that's $10,000.
Yep.
Maybe $1 million, I think, right?
Yep. 1 million. This is 100 million. This is 2 billion on a truck.
Here comes the grinder whale.
And that's
So
how much
that's 340 billion right there. But this is all of this that we're panning out from. This is 2 trillion total, just broken up into its different parts.
And they just slung another 4 trillion on top of the debt like it was nothing.
And when you start to show people like this, stuff like this, they're like, wait, what?
Yep.
You can almost see the light bulb go off in their brain when they, you start showing them this stuff. And
I think the best thing we can do is just light that spark so they start asking their own questions. Like, to me, once they understand inflation is theft, is through
This is the average daily print.
Wow. Hey, grinder, push it in. Which bulldozer is grinder in? I don't know.
Oh, the big one on the end.
Janet and Powell are in there.
Oh yeah, I think I see Yellen.
Why is she
Janet Yellen's right there.
Yeah, once you see the massive money printing that you're being stolen from through inflation, the next logical step is to come up with a plan, which would be Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I've also had a lot of success with that, with a lot of people to, kind of explain the money and how much it is. It's just so hard for people to conceptualize how much that is. And imagine, like, I also like to say this afterwards too, like looking at all that money, and that's just like in the trillions. Then you think of like Shiba Inu, and it's 1 quadrillion. So it's like you don't want to be involved in a token that has 1 quadrillion tokens.
yeah, really though. Yeah, that's
And how I understand it is, okay, 31 trillion, 35 trillion, that's just the appetizer. There's the unfunded liabilities, like the promise to the people who've worked all their life that they'll get their pension paid out is like 200 trillion right there.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on, I can pull up the.
So you just have to keep going back into the past, and steal from it, to pay it forward.
I sent them the U.S. debt clock. I actually have it. Yeah, there you go. I was going to share. I actually have that up, and that's what I was going to share. But never mind. You can share that, Brian.
Yeah, it's loading. Come on.
I think we're getting the point across, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd like to provide for my
There we go.
future grandkids and not steal from them. So that's why I would like a more Bitcoin type system.
Yeah, really. I would like my children to not, and their children to not have to pay off my parents, or our parents' generations bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where's the unfunded liabilities on here?
Oh gosh,
Here it
there's so
is.
many in there. Who knows?
Here it is down here. U.S. unfunded liabilities.
It just keeps rolling up.
Get your bulldozer again, Grinder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at that liability per citizen. Over half a million per citizen. Anywho. So yeah.
And all that money was well spent, right?
Mm.
Yeah, did you know that I don't know if you guys saw my tweet the other day, but I retweeted someone. But there was a video that I saw. Someone tweeted out, "Why is the government why is the system broken, or why are there so many veterans on food stamps?" And it's because the Pentagon openly admits they pay like 10 times what they should pay for products, and they just failed their third audit in a row or something like that. They have no idea where trillions of dollars are. And you wonder why the system's so broken. It's because money printer go burr, and just
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how we end up with politicians like Pelosi make 220,000 a year, and their net worth is 225 million.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's either 4,000 years old, or is the best investor of all times, or it's a crooked system. I'll let the viewers decide.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like one other thing that I would kind of add to that too, in terms of like poor spending and whatnot, like the way that the system is set up too also makes it so there's like these loopholes, or it's inefficient. So like what I mean by that is, when I used to work at agencies that would get like grants or funding from the US government for certain programs, if you didn't use all of the money that they gave you for that program within like a specific fiscal year, they would then mark you down for the next year, because they would say like, oh, you did it more efficiently, you don't need like $50,000 since you only spent $43,000, we're going to take 7 back. So what do companies do? They don't say, yeah, we're efficient, here's the money back. They say, we have $7,000 that we need to spend in some way, shape, or form. And then we just bought random shit, or we would get another person on staff to do a job that didn't really need to be a job, just so that we could still ask for the same amount of money per grant like every single year. So if you multiply that across like all the different programs that the government funds and grants that way, there's a lot of excess too. So like and I remember like the college that I went to, somebody worked in the like IT slash like surplus department, and the same thing would happen there. They would get a stipend from the state of that they were in, and if they didn't use it all by the end of the year, they would go out and like buy new computers, buy new desks, and they would just take the old desks and store them in a warehouse for like safekeeping for later or something like that. But again, it's like they want to spend the money so that they don't lose the amount of money that they've been granted in the grant.
And in my humble opinion, that's why money cannot be free to make. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is they say, well, uses electricity. Well, yeah, that's a good thing. There's a cost to produce it. It has to be tied to something in the real world. That there's a cost to produce it, so we don't just do all this. I mean, look at this crazy debt clock and all the examples that Grinder just mentioned. Like, there needs to be a cost of production. You need to do the work. You need to reap before you can sow. That line of thinking, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We also need a system that's not going to be able to just, oh, well, let's just throw a couple extra trillion in there for, whatever, like we just think that we can do that. But that's not something that we should allow. And it's just not just American specifically, every country, like there should be no reason why the government is allowed to just pull money out of Narnia, and just say like, haha, we're going to go spend this on something that you guys don't agree with. And we're going to straddle your children with the debt and your children's children with this debt. That's unacceptable.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's another beauty of the protocol. It's an open protocol. It has.
Yep, absolutely.
We know humans left to our own devices. We're sinful bastards. So there's a computer protocol with the rules already set, takes the human element out of it.
Yep.
I think that's kind of the what do they say? The roundabout way of taking it out of the hands of the government. That was so kind of the chef's kiss. Like
Bitcoin. Yeah, that is the creme de la creme of the Bitcoin. Anyways, so I guess I'm going to share, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Quick. So I usually pull up a few things like I found this article a while ago, and it's just, we've already covered, I'm not going to go over it again, but making sure that you're not, the way that you talk to people, I've learned a lot, is how you bring things up to them and how you approach it is going to dictate how they are going to receive it, right? That information. So if you come up to someone and you're like, hey, you're a fucking idiot for using cash, pardon my French, they're going to be pretty upset at you, right? Just going right off the bat, because that's not the correct way to approach someone about, like trying to teach them something. So like this one, don't expect instant results, right? It's going to take a while. I had to send my mom videos on Bitcoin for like a year before she would even talk to me about it. And she was like, huh. And I sent her a video. It was one of, I think, James or Rob's videos. And it was talking about inflation. It may have been Ben. I can't remember. One of those three guys. And it was like, hey, just do me a favor and watch this on, what's really going on with the financial system. And she called me late at night and was like, so I'm going to order one of those ledger things. It took me, like I said, like a year of me just being like, hey, Ma, you might want to look into this. Hey, this is what I think, like, hey, this is, like maybe you would understand this better than the way I can expand it, or explain it rather. Should also apologize to everyone. I've had a long week. I had a medical procedure. So if I seem like I'm out of it, yeah. Anyway.
No worries, Joe. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Next week it'll be Crypto Conversations with Jolene.
Yes. It's yeah. We're going Bud Light up in this piece. Don't expect instant results, right? You got to be able to explain, what it is, what's going on, and then over time it may finally catch root, right? Showing them like charts. Everyone, another one thing that you always hear is, oh, it's going to go to zero, and then you show them, like the Bitcoin RIP Bitcoin website where they talk, they list how many times articles have said Bitcoin's dead, and it's like up to 12,000 or something like that, or even higher.
Oh yeah. You can plot the dots of when Bitcoin is dead articles come out on like date and time of Bitcoin, and it like it looks like a Bitcoin chart because there's so many dots. It just follows the same price action.
Yeah. So, explaining to money's a complicated subject. Being able to say like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If it's not for you, maybe, but if you want to throw a couple bucks into it, do your own research. You want to explain to them, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. It's like any volatile asset, or until it becomes steady. The crypto is semi-volatile right now. It's kind of just doing its thing, but it's staying steady. But we've had ranges where it went down to, what was it, almost down to 25 not too long ago, and now it's up to almost 28. Like it just bounces in the range. You got to explain that it's going to be like that. I know that you, Grinder, had some friends help you with something, and this one specifically applies to you. Show, don't just tell.
Yeah.
I think you said that you had some friends help you do something, and you bought them some crypto, and you're showing them like, hey, this is what it does over time. Like and the next bull run, this is what, like, and you said you're going to give it to him, I think, in the next bull run.
Yeah.
And like that is an excellent way of showing people what these assets can do, right?
Yeah.
It really, you got to be able to connect the people with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So just to kind of elaborate a little bit on that,
Yeah, maybe you can
Joe.
tell them that story.
Yeah. So like when I moved in 2021 at like the height of the crypto bull market, obviously I was feeling pretty good about things. But people helped me move, and there were probably like about like people or so that helped me. And, I thanked them and, gave them beer and a pizza party and all that jazz. But to go like a step beyond that, afterwards I surprised them by giving them all like $100 in a diversified cryptocurrency portfolio, with a majority of it being Bitcoin, but then a couple of other altcoins in there as well. And I basically told them, I was like, I'm going to force you guys to follow my trading strategy. I was like, you're not going to be able to withdraw this until you've had it for at least a year. So it's in long-term capital gains. And I was like, I'm purposely buying it at a terrible time in the cycle for you guys, because I want you guys to watch it go down and then watch it come back up. And, I send them like weekly updates in terms of like that portfolio. I basically just snap a screenshot of what its total value or worth is and send it to them every week. And I used to give them like summaries as well about like what was going on and why the price action was doing what it was doing. But then last but not least, I also say that when they withdraw it, like I'm going to withdraw it for them at like the top of the next bull market, or as close to it as I can. But the only way that I'm going to give it to them is if they have a ledger account. Or well, it was a ledger, but now it'd be some sort of like cold storage device for me to send it to them. So hopefully what it does is it puts them through an entire cycle where they get to see the volatility. They see that it drops significantly and that, oh my God, I would have lost everything. But then it comes back, and not only does it come back, but it goes higher. They see the benefits of cashing it out in long-term capital gains rather than short-term capital gains. And if they really want, like I'm hoping to be able to send them like $200, $250, $300 a piece, when all and said is done. If they want that money, then they also have to respect that, by getting that cold storage device and sending it to them that way. So they've kind of go full circle. They're like, wow, I didn't have to risk any of my money. You shared what was happening. I saw the full cycle. So now hopefully the next time, they're not as nervous about the idea of getting involved, and they have that long-term time frame.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Like for with me, with my my mom and my chiropractor, the one person I have helped. Every week I go in there, he asks me questions, I show him stuff, like I usually try and schedule my appointment for the end of the day for him. So I'm his last appointment, and we spend, like 20 minutes just chit chatting about it. Like he
Nice.
asks me questions and I pull up links. I send him videos constantly. I send him these videos occasionally. I have other friends that I do that as well too. And I'm just like, hey, this is what's going on. You may want to look into this. And he is actually one of those people that was like, hey, this actually makes sense to me. Can we set this up? And, like this, that right here, it says, give them the tools and succeed and follow up, like you're showing them, your friends, like, hey, this is what it's doing. This is what's going to happen this week, potentially, like you're giving them the tools to succeed and following up literally.
Yeah.
Grinder, where's my airdrop?
Right.
Next bull market.
All right.
We're gonna make our own coin.
This might be a good time to break into the recent news of the Atomic wallet. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. We can go into that real quick.
So hopefully we've educated our family about hot wallets, cold wallets. But so the recent news would be with the Atomic wallet, which is a hot wallet. I think Grinder determined it was not based in the U.S., right?
Correct. Yeah, it was. It was founded in Estonia in 2017.
Right, and so it's all this hacks are kind of a black eye on the industry. So it'd be a good time to reinforce hot wallets are connected to the internet and they're not as secure. So I personally never have more than like, I don't know, because it's all relative to people.
Right.
How much money is, but like less than $1,000, think of it as you're spending money in your physical wallet. But there was a hack. Digital Asset News has a good tweet thread. And then, what was the deal, Grinder? Some users have been affected, but
Yeah, this was the official tweet from Atomic Wallet, and then the update that they sent out this morning. But yeah, some wallets have been compromised. They're doing an investigation. They didn't really give much information yesterday. Rob from Digital Asset News was the first person that I saw send something out about it. So obviously, when I saw it and it was something that I've actually used in the past, I was like, oh boy, I better go check. I knew I had some crumbs on there. Like I said in my tweet about it, I had less than $25 on there just in like Ethereum for like transferring fees and whatnot. But mine was still there. So, it's not everybody. It's, I'm sure it's going to take them a little while to figure out exactly what it was. But I don't know this for sure, but the first thing that went through my head was there some sort of like scam campaign where like people were getting you to click on like fake atomic wallet things and then they're downloading malware into your computer so they can track your keystrokes or something? Was it so I think it's probably like something like that, or some other kind of similar to the Solana, the hack on like a side project of Solana, where the only people were affected were like a certain hot wallet that was connected to that like project or whatever. So is it like a MetaMask issue? Is it somebody who connects their Atomic wallet to MetaMask or something else? I would guess that that's probably what they're going to come up with. But that's why, like, I don't, even though I've used this wallet in the past for like liquidity to do like a quick transaction, I would never keep a large amount of funds on a hot wallet that's connected to the internet for the reasons that we've already discussed. So, um, hopefully they'll figure out what it was, and hopefully it's not like a breach of the actual wallet, but kind of similar to that past circumstance where it's like, well, if you had that wallet and you connected it to another wallet, there was some sort of security breach in that component of it. But we'll have to wait and see. But if you do have Atomic Wallet, I would strongly recommend transferring your funds out, and put it on a cold storage device.
And then Joe, I think, didn't you say the latest was the funds were like magically reappearing?
Yeah, so someone had, I think it was Rob, put out a tweet that said that there were some people who were confirming that their funds were magically reappearing. So maybe it was just some kind of weird, I don't know, something in the protocol that went awry that just showed something went wrong, because there actually was, and I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but about a year ago, some point in last year, Ledger actually had something similar to that, where they're certain of their customers, and I was one of these people. Every time you would go to transfer in Bitcoin, it would double your amount, right? Or it would not, maybe not double, but it would go. It wasn't the correct amount. It said you had more than you had. So when I went to go update my ledger, and it went from, like saying I had whatever I had in there to about half that. And I freaked the F out. I was not a happy camper. And it took Ledger so long to get back to me that I was legitimately having anxiety about it, because it was, thousands of dollars. And like what I have in there is, subjective. To me, it's a lot of money. To some people, it's a drop in the bucket. But
Cue the first, cue the meme where it says they're getting hung at the stake and they say first time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. I had because I had a ledger, I know what you're talking about. I remember when that like visual glitch was going on where it was like
Mhm.
duplicating some of the transactions that you had. This is a good reason as to why you should have an Excel spreadsheet with all your trades, set up and monitored by yourself to keep track of, like for taxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because when that happened, I noticed it on the front side, right? Not on the
Okay.
back side. So like I noticed that I had more Bitcoin than I should have, and I'm like looking at these numbers and I'm like, why is it saying I have more in here than I should, based on my Excel spreadsheet? And then sure enough, I was able to like do some investigating and find out that, oh yes, it's like a visual glitch where it's showing like the wrong amounts and whatnot. So then when it eventually got fixed and the Bitcoin like reduced itself, I was like, yeah, what it was just a visual glitch. Like I know how much money was actually supposed to be in there.
Yeah, I was able to go through on my Coinbase account and then add up, all of the transactions and everything and what I had sent
Mhm.
through the blockchain and everything. And I was like, okay, that I what I have is now correct.
Yeah,
So I was able to work it out for myself before Ledger even got back to me. But
typical.
yeah, I mm, I really. I'm trying to not be so cynical these days and say not nice things about people. But they Ledger sent me out recently one of those. Would you be how often or how willing would you be to recommend Ledger products to your friends? And it had like a scale of 0 to 10, and I put 0, and then put F you and F your backdoor. I'm still pretty hot about that, honestly, because now I got to go buy a Trezor, which is $270 something dollars, and
Yeah,
Worth every penny.
right. I
yeah,
know.
I
I
know, but
know.
it's just like just another one of those. Like, if you guys hadn't have went and done this, I would still be a happy camper, and I wouldn't have to go and change everything. Which like you have to be able to be on the ball. So I got to order that probably today or tomorrow. And then I ordered my mom one. I ordered, my chiropractor ordered one. So I'm like, now I got to buy my mom a freaking Trezor. So that's going to be great.
Set them
Yeah.
all up.
Although I got my mom my mom's not super technical. So I got her just the basic one that's not affected by it yet. So I can push that off a little bit and see, what they're doing with that, because that's obviously not going. I got her, I think what's the basic one, that not the X, but just
The S.
the S. Yeah, I got her the S. And I guess that's the one that it's not going to. So that's at least a good thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really understand why people keep allowing stuff like this to happen. Like with Atomic, like at this point, I feel like we as a community should have learned our lesson. Like don't keep a lot of stuff on hot wallets. Like keep. And there was that one guy who tweeted that he lost $2.8 million off of Atomic or something like that, and it's like maybe if he's got 20%, maybe that's 10% of his bag or something like that, and he's keeping it for trading purposes on there. If that's your 10%, then that's your 10%. But God, if that's his entire bag, like, bro,
Mm,
what were you thinking? I
right.
feel so bad for him, like, and this goes back to, our topic of the day, which is how to orange pill your family members, and, making sure that they know that they need to keep this safe, and they need to be on their stuff about their security and their
Yep.
PERSEC and their OPSEC and everything. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
it's
Really?
like it just goes back into orange pilling everyone and making sure that you're doing it the right way, and you're teaching people, and you're there, like that the video or that thing I showed them, or showed on the clip, where it said set them up to succeed, like you're doing with the, hey, if you want this, you have to have, a cold storage wallet that's going to keep it safe. Like, um,
Yep. Got to
Ryan.
do things. Got to do things right.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean,
There's a
there's a way to set things up for everyone, and you just got to take the time and actually do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And one last thing I'll say about that too is a lot of times. I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me.
Okay. Like Beardy, actually, I want to share this. This is the thing that he made with his buddy. Beardy, you want to talk us through this one, Bubba?
Oh, this was just a little. When I first found out about Bitcoin, I was a little hot to trot. Put this little thing together. I could probably update it, but it was just trying to orange pill people. Thesis being change the money, change the world. Yeah.
I like how you have yada yada yada, crypto
Blah, blah,
enthusiast
blah.
speculator. Yeah, that's a typical Beardy.
Clearly, the graphics and stuff I didn't put together, but it goes through the history. How was Satoshi anonymously created it? In response to the financial crisis, housing market, big banks got bailed out. They printed money out of thin air, stole from us. So they'll
You just steal from us.
kind of explain the problem. Quantitative easing is kind of how they don't. That's their way of saying money printing, so that we don't question them. And a good chart of the value of the dollar over time.
Yep.
Trending towards zero versus Bitcoin. All roads lead to Bitcoin, basically, and then talks a little bit about security.
Yeah, this is really great, man. Like, I think we should. I don't know how we'll figure out how to post this here somewhere, but
I was going to take that slide out. This was before all.
yeah. Well, ignore this slide, folks. But in your defense, I mean, like,
this was like 2 years. This was before all that went down.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like, if you could have used the loan and stuff like that. Like, there are people who use Celsius and Voyager for the loans, and they never got burned. But that was, obviously.
It was before we knew they were basically criminal enterprises. But,
yeah, before we learned they were Ponzi schemes. So back then, everything.
I'd been in the game about 6 months, so I was just starting my journey, so I didn't know about the importance of the.
Well, but to the same point to that, even if you were only 6 months, there were people who were in here the space for years. Look at Simon Dixon, like he got fooled by him, and he's been in this space since he was the first person to ever write a book about Bitcoin. Yeah. So if you got that guy who got scammed, I really don't think that you can blame like the influencers like Rob, James, any of those guys.
But you can wipe out the companies, but it is a better way that you can do more yield than banks, because we could do another thing where we talk about staking and how you get yield that way, but that'd be it for another time. And then one of the biggest points, the absolute scarcity of the 21 million in the lost coins.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the FUD at that time they're coming around on the energy. They need to come up with some new FUD for that, but.
Oh, I'm sure that's right.
Yeah, because the renewable energy is higher than that now too.
Yeah, I think.
I was just we were talking offline, and in Texas, if you have a Tesla, I think it's $30 per month to charge your vehicle at home overnight.
Yep. And then that one,
it's all through renewables.
Just charting adoption, internet versus Bitcoin. I think that's what that one was. Talks a little bit about digital gold. Only criminals use the Bitcoin.
Yeah, was it Elizabeth Warren just said it's only used for fentanyl sales the other day?
Oh yeah,
he solved it.
Every time that woman talks, I'm like, can you please just stop?
I want
to wrong about everything.
Give credit to Liz Warren for solving the fentanyl crisis. And side note for Al Pacino, going to be becoming a father at the tender age of 83.
Wow. Oh, wow. Good for him, I guess.
There's always hope. And his girlfriend's 29. I just throw in that random fact. And then there's some projections of $1 million by 2030. But what'll $1 million be? A loaf of bread? Who knows? And
man, you have the MIT course with Gary Gensler on there.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah, I would take that one out there too.
Yeah. Actually, but I don't blame you.
This was like years ago before.
Well, right. That was before he started going against the industry. That's when we still thought that he was going to be good for us.
Yeah. That's before he got bought out, and he helped Hillary Clinton with a certain dossier. And
I just thought it would be good to throw in there and see how the space changes over time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was a lot of the ideas are still the base.
Well, another thing that's timeless about Bitcoin, you can always show them is, and what I always send to everyone is the white paper. I don't know about you guys, but to me, I send it to them. I'm like, just read the white paper if you want to, kind of understand it. And there's not a lot of people who actually go through and read the 9 pages. I don't know why. It's actually it's not even a hard read. Like you can.
Yeah.
Well, some of the equations look like, for people who aren't mathematical, are like, what is that?
Yeah, and I mean, like the visuals, make it look kind of scary and everything, like confusing. But when you actually sit down and read it, it's actually very readable, right? Like someone, Satoshi actually went through and made it so it was, like this is scary looking, yes, but then you actually go through and read it, it's like, oh, okay, I get that. At least that's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
And
But
I guess
you don't have to, to drive a car, you don't have to know how the engine works. Exactly. For me, anyways.
Yeah.
I just like to know how it works. Some more technically minded people, they'll want to dig through all that, but
at some point I would like to have a Lamborghini. I just don't care how it makes that it goes so fast. I just want to drive a car real fast, like, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I remembered what I was going to say.
Oh yes, buddy.
What I was going to say is like, the other thing that scares people off from Bitcoin and this in blockchain technology is, like when bad things happen, they point to that and they say, "Oh, look, it can't be good," or you're going to get rug pulled or whatever. But what you have to remember is that there's always going to be nefarious bad actors in any sort of technology. You can make something good, but somebody's going to figure out how to make it bad. And so, like, what I mean by that is, like, look at the early stages of like internet adoption. At the beginning, nobody thought of any of like the bad things that could be done on there, like, the drug trade on there, human trafficking, underage pornography, like all that type of stuff. But as it evolves and you discover these negative things, then you come up with things to fight that, or you teach people. That the other example I was going to give is, like when emails like first started happening, there was no such thing as like email scams because email never existed. And then all of a sudden people were getting like emails in their inbox and it's like, oh, this person has money for me if I send them their my social security number. It's like you don't know that it's a scam until it becomes a thing. So it's the same thing with crypto and like Bitcoin and stuff like that. You're going to have bad actors in this space. You have to do the due diligence to figure out, like what's bad, what's not, and it's going to improve over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right.
There's it. Here, hold on, let me pull this.
I concur. Yeah, I think it's just natural when things get displaced, like when the postal service was getting displaced by email. They're gonna just raise a big stink, and
people are always going to act in their own
best interest,
self-interest, and if that involves stealing money from someone else, then they're going to do it. Like I think you can only do so. You can only do so much, right? And to your point about like the internet and its first adoption, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of podcasts or listen to a lot, but there's a gentleman whose name is Sean Ryan, and he is a former Navy SEAL who went over to the CIA as an operator for them, and so he at a certain point left that life and started his own podcast. And it's really interesting. He had the world's #1 ethical hacker not too long ago. And he talks about how he is waging an absolute war against pedophilia and the people who are profiting from this on the internet. So if you guys get a chance and you want to see, how people are changing the world, that's actually a fantastic one to go and check out. Totally unrelated to crypto and everything, but it is a fantastic article in it, or podcast. And if you're a parent, anyone watching that, please go and watch it. It will make you want to not have your children on the internet, just because of the stuff that they show on there. I do want to get going back to that, the Bitcoin and our topic here. I think that it's important for us to have humility as well, and maybe that how some people explain things is going to be better suited to someone else. So if I have someone that I know in my life that's super technical, I'll probably send them over to Ben's channel, right? Like, hey, you are way smarter than I am. I'm describing this doesn't make sense to you. Here, this guy goes and speaks numbers. Go watch him, and he speaks numbers. Like you guys speak the same language. If there's the same thing with CTO. He's very technical and breaks things down, but he does it a little differently. I think his video is a little more fun. He has the cool videos, the intros of him doing stuff with his family or whatever. It kind of shows a different side. If I want to show someone a channel where they talk about a lot of different cryptos and a lot of math and stuff like that, I'll send them to James. If I want someone, someone's like me, who's like, hey, just give me the meat and potatoes, I'm gonna send them to Rob. I think that there's a way to make it so everyone understands this, and we need to not be rude to each other about it. I think we need to be open as a community to how we, to share everything, if that makes sense, in a long way. And again, don't mind me rambling. I apologize. Rough weekend. So
no worries, Joe.
It's okay, Jolene.
Jolene.
No, I think you hit all. I trust all those people. Those are good to watch. Everybody has their own personal taste on things.
Yeah, and Coin Bureau did a great video today. I don't know, it's actually kind of odd. Guy decided he was going to copy us. I was talking to Guy the other day. No big deal. But he actually did a fantastic video I watched this morning on explaining the Bitcoin to complete beginners, the ultimate guide. And I was like, I was honestly going to talk to you guys about it, be like, do we even really want to do this today? Because, he just knocked that one out of the park in 20 minutes. But I would definitely recommend going and checking that out to everyone as well. And again, it's all about humility, being humble. No one wants to be the loud guy in the room, right? At least that's how I feel like a lot of people who are in crypto, besides maybe BitBoy, because he just likes hearing his own voice. But sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. Anyways, throwing shade out of BitBoy.
No, you're good. I tell people to stay away from channels like his.
I refuse to allow or to support him after I saw him shake Alex Machinsky's hand and was that NFT thing or whatever in New York, after he was saying he was going to go there and give him hell and demand that he get people's money back and everything, and then he ends up shaking the dude's hand. Like, I don't know. Sorry. Anyways, there's just a lot of people that in the community that want to do a lot of good, and there's people in there who want to serve their own self-interest. I think the people that we just pointed out, for the videos that we watch, like CTO and all them, they have the community's best interests at heart, and I think that we just need to keep growing as a community like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Amen. It's
probably a good place to wrap up for today.
Yeah,
stack sats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really though, no one wants to be the.
This thing gets so messed up.
I don't know, Beardy. We really got to get. Oh my God! Please stop.
This is how they do it in Texas.
No, it's not how we do it in Texas. Oh my God, buddy! Please stop.
We're going to Nashville.
I'm gonna get you a legit cowboy hat. I don't care if you say that's actually a resist all, but gosh,
I think it is.
Is it a resist all? Yeah. I think that's who does George Strait's.
George Strait resist all made in Texas, USA. The only thing is, I have to get them. My head's so big, I have to get them specially made. I have like an 8-inch head.
Oh wow!
I think that's the size. It's huge. There's a lot of brains in there, Joe. I don't use most of the brain cells, but they're in there.
Well, you know what? You can rent them out or something. Who knows? Maybe Elon will come up with something that you can rent out your extra brain power.
Can I stake my brain cells somewhere on the web?
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us for an hour on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of did a little less impromptu, a little more impromptu, less structured. But again, you know, I just apologize for that. I normally have everything laid out, but it was a grind. Just you know, grind. It was a grind just getting it to this today. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Go outside, touch some grass, and remember to share some info about Bitcoin and try to learn something every day.
Yeah.
You guys want, you know what, we should actually go. If you want to add this to your screen, you want to show off your Twitter real quick, buddy.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we can get you plugged in there.
That's me.
Endless Grind on Twitter, and then we got Beardy Day.
Intermittent grinder is what I call them.
Here, I'll pull up Beardies.
And there's Beardy right there. And make sure you guys go and follow and subscribe to them. And hopefully we'll get something. Oh, yeah, there's me as
And
well.
then there's Joe.
Handsome fella.
Yeah, there's me. So hopefully we'll have another structured episode next week, but we'll get back with you guys soon and have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.